Welcome back to Radio Faces. We're here at our Houston Community College Main Street studios. I'm John McClain, the Chronicle, Chron.com, Sports Radio 610. Andy Kalu, 12-year veteran. You can hear him on Sports Radio 610 all during the week. This is where we're going to talk about the best and the worst. We're going to start with Super Bowls. What's your best Super Bowl?
My favorite Super Bowl had to be Super Bowl 32. I like the storylines. I like what happened during the Super Bowl. When you look at the matchups, it was Denver versus Green Bay. Green Bay was the reigning Super Bowl champs. Denver, they were the wild card team. And when you look at what Terrell Davis was able to do to finish that game with 157 yards, be the MVP, and he did it all with the migraine. I don't know if you remember, that's the game where he sat out a big portion of the game because of migraines, but he fought his way through. They pulled off the upset. That was just one Super Bowl that stuck with me.
They won it for Elway after all those failures. John Elway won his first. My favorite was the last one between the Patriots and the Giants. The Giants score 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. They win it on Eli Manning's pass to Plaxico Burress. I think that was just a great game, and I hope that we have another one similar to that one. Now, my worst Super Bowl was what we call the Stupor Bowl, Super Bowl 5. That was Baltimore beating my Dallas Cowboys at the time, and Bob Lilly throwing his helmet 50 yards afterward. I just remember that as the worst play. What was your worst one?
Super Bowl 5. How far back are you going to go?
I go back to Super Bowl 1. I can tell you about that one too. I was 1 year old.
And that's why we're glad to have you, because you always educate us. But I can't go back that far. I'm going to go to Super Bowl 35. And you might be surprised, that's the Super Bowl where Ray Lewis was the MVP. I'm glad a defensive player received that award. But when you look at the Super Bowl, you have to bring star power to get the casual fan into it. They had Kerry Collins and Trent Dilfer playing the quarterback position. It was a lopsided game, and besides the defensive player getting the MVP and capping off a great redemption story, we all know Ray Lewis went through the whole murder trial, wasn't accused of anything, or excuse me, he didn't serve any time. And for him to go ahead and win the MVP the year after, I thought that was a great story. But the game itself was a dud.
Greatest defense in history. Now, talking about great plays, you're going to talk about great plays this season. I'm going to talk about great plays in the Super Bowl. What were the ones you remember about during the season?
The 2 plays that stood out in my mind as an NFL fan, Jerome Simpson flipping over the Cardinal defender and landing on his feet for a touchdown. If you've seen it, that's probably one of the most exciting plays. And J.J. Watt. If you're a hometown Houston fan, you could argue that that might have been the biggest play in the team history, where he just snatches the ball out of the air in the Cincinnati Bengal playoff game and takes it to the house. Typically, you might see a defender tip it, wait for it to land in the breadbasket, and if they're lucky, they'll make it into the end zone. But he just snatched it out of the air and ran for a touchdown. Those were the 2 plays that stuck in my mind.
And if reports are true, Simpson will be doing those flips in prison next year, because he's gotten in big-time trouble. They didn't do anything this year, but the league's going to get him and the law's going to get him, and he may have played his last game for a while. Now, when you talk about memorable plays and Super Bowl week, I'm thinking about Super Bowl plays. I'm thinking about the Patriots and the Giants, and the greatest play in history, Eli Manning's pass to David Tyree with Rodney Harrison all over him. Because of that play, we didn't have to watch Lynn Swann against the Cowboys for the 100,000th time. And Tyree made that play. Nobody's heard from him again as a player, but he's gotten a lot of attention this week, last week. Can you remember a play greater than that?
Now when you look at the catch, and what people forget about that play, Eli Manning did a great job avoiding the sack. The pressure was on. It should have been a dead play, a sack, tackle for a loss, but he avoided the sack, made the throw. Then you saw the catch where it looked like he just had glue all over his hands. I'm talking about David Tyree. That's definitely up there, especially when you talk Super Bowl plays.
Okay, let's go back during the season now for our annual awards, MVP.
My MVP and my Offensive Player of the Year, they're going to be the same person. Aaron Rodgers, no stretch. I like to think outside of the box. But when you put together the season that he had, especially when you're just talking the regular season, after what they did last year, knowing that the target was on his back, it was memorable. It was amazing. It's almost magical the way he conducts that offense, the way he puts the ball right where it needs to be. He has good receivers, but I believe that he makes them better than what they really are.
The awards are always voted on right after the season. For regular season, I would vote Aaron Rodgers. If we did it after the Super Bowl, I would probably pick Eli Manning for just getting this far. And Eli, I think you could make a great argument for him as the season as well because of the way they finish. My offensive player of the year is Drew Brees. Drew set the all-time record for yards passing, shattered Dan Marino's record, and I think well, we all know Drew Brees had an incredible season, so he's my offensive player.
Well, I'm glad you said that because obviously mine was the same Aaron Rodgers. So how are you going to have and I'm not just talking to you, I'm talking about the award in general because we hear this all the time. How do you have an MVP on the offensive side of the ball, then the offensive player of the year is somebody different?
Because this is the official Associated Press All-Pro team,
right.
And we put that in there in case you had a great quarterback but a great running back, and you could do both. And this year, no running back went crazy. Maurice Jones-Drew led the league with like 1,600 yards, and because of Brees' record-breaking performance, it allows you to do both.
Gotcha.
And now, Defensive Player of the Year.
Jared Allen out of Minnesota. When you look at the 22 sacks and the type of team he was playing on, is that much more special. You're talking about a team that wasn't ever leading going into the halftime, going into the fourth quarter. So for him to be able to rack up those type of sacks, those type of numbers, it's truly amazing. When you saw Michael Strahan do it, when you see Dwight Freeney, Mathis do it, their team's usually playing with the lead and they're going against an offense that's trying to catch up, so they're dropping back and throwing. But when you look at the Vikings and how poor they were on offense, for him to get those numbers, I just think it's truly unbelievable.
Based on what you just said, Jared Allen probably had the greatest season in history as a pass rusher to be able to get that many sacks and come that close to Strahan's record and get those few times to be able to tee off on his quarterback. Now, my Defensive Player of the Year comes from a winning team, Super Bowl team, Jason Pierre-Paul, the defensive end of the Giants. Based on what he did this year when he started to terrorize quarterbacks and live up to being a #1 pick, if he stays healthy, there's no telling what this kid is going to be able to do. I will never forget when he came out of South Florida on the video where at 275 pounds, he's doing a bunch of backflips like a cheerleader. Had you talk about the flexibility, athleticism, the guy's just phenomenal, and we may see a lot of that in the Super Bowl while Jared Allen is watching at home on his big screen TV.
And I'm sure he likes that you're comparing him to a cheerleader. You could have said a gymnast or something. Why does he have to be a cheerleader?
Because cheerleaders do backflips like that. And now, our Offensive Rookie of the Year, I think we're going to agree.
Cam Newton. It has to be Cam Newton. When you look at the team that he was asked to lead, they were 2-14 last year. They're 6-10 this year. That's not something to write home about. But when you talk about that 4-game turnaround, if they could do that again next year, then you're looking at a team that might be in the playoffs. He broke the rookie season passing record, and he can do it with his legs, his feet. The main thing, he's giving the people in Carolina a hope. They're giving them reason to tune in to watch the Carolina Panthers. If the Panthers can follow the same path the Texans did this past offseason and draft all defense, focus on the defense, and add 1 or 2 pieces on offense, I think this Carolina team will be the surprise team for next year.
Greatest season of any rookie quarterback in history. Now, your defensive choice for Rookie of the Year?
J.J. Watt. And you could say I'm being a homer because we're here in Houston, or
you're being a homer
I used to play for the Texans. But if you look at J.J. Watt and watch his play, he's more than just sacks. He's more than just stats. This is a guy that you know, if he doesn't have an injury, he's going to be playing that 5 technique for years to come. He's going to be playing it at a higher level than most people. Before the season started, I felt like he could be the next Richard Seymour. He's going to pass Richard Seymour. He's going to be one of the best to play the 5 technique, and he showed it this year with his maturity level, his athleticism, his weight, his strength. He has all the tools that you need to have to be the Defensive Player of the Year, and I really think that he's better than those guys that put up better sack numbers because he could play the run, he could play the pass, and you've already seen the pick 6. What else do you have to say about J.J. Watt?
I agree. He had a great rookie year. If he picks up where he left off in the playoffs, he's going to be phenomenal. Plus, they'll get a lot more attention when they get national primetime appearances next season. Now, mine is Aldon Smith, the outside linebacker / defensive end for the 49ers. They had a great run, had a great defense. He had, I believe, 14 sacks in regular season, had another couple in the playoffs. I take him over Von Miller, the A&M outside linebacker / defensive end from the Denver Broncos, because I thought Smith was just unbelievable. Now, our next award goes to the coach of the year, we're going to agree on this one.
Hey, and how can you not? Jim Harbaugh, when you take the team and you're a play away from going to the Super Bowl after what they experienced under Mike Singletary, under Mike Nolan, it shows you that a coach could put his thumbprint on your team and he could change the team in a year. You know, I always think when you have a new coach, you have to give him 3-4 years. Jim Harbaugh just took that theory and kicked it out of the ballpark. He said, you know what, if you're a good enough coach and the talent's there, you could turn the team around in a year. And I like the passion. You know, he's what Rex Ryan wants to be. He's passionate, but he's talented. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to reach the players. We all saw the picture when the tight end scores a touchdown and he comes and he's crying and he hugs Harbaugh. That was real. It wasn't like Rex Ryan's speeches that are fake to motivate people. That's just a real connection he has with the players.
Who's got it better than us? Nobody. That's become their catchphrase. Now, I think we'll agree on assistant coach of the year.
Oh, again, you know what? I'm going to let you take it. We are agreeing, but when
Wade
we talk
Phillips
about Wade Phillips, you talk
is a
about
runaway choice in every awards postseason. Wade has been the runaway choice as the assistant coach of the year. Did a phenomenal job going from 30 to second. Couldn't get a better job. Now, of course, he's only got one way to go next season. That would be one spot up.
That's right.
Now we're going to go to our executive of the year, and we differ on this one.
We do differ. I'm going with Jerry Reese, and after the break, I'll tell you why.